Adaline the Witch, and after the Pumpkin Festival, something unbelievable happened. Snow in September! That was the beginning of the winter spell. I still can't believe it's snowing in September. Let's figure out together why this is happening.
On the edge of autumn, when the fields should have been glowing with pumpkins and falling leaves, the village instead awoke to a heavy silence. Snowflakes drifted endlessly from the sky, blanketing the world in white, as if winter had arrived far too soon, and with it, a mystery waiting to be uncovered. Adaline, curious and kind, set out to discover the cause, but this time she wasn't alone. The whole village was depending on the witches, for only they had the gifts needed to sense the invisible currents of magic. Unlike ordinary people, witches could feel disturbances in the air, the whisper of a spell drifting through the wind, the pulse of an enchantment hidden deep in the earth. The villagers shivered in their homes, looking up with hope, for it was clear this cold was no ordinary winter. Adaline could feel it in her heart. This was no natural chill. It was a winter spell, cast by forces unknown, traveling swiftly across the land and gathering strength on the frozen peak of a dark mountain. At first, everyone was hesitant. Each witch, each villager, and each creature of the forest wanted to cling to what little they had. The cold had made them fearful of hunger, of loss, of the unknown. But even with so little, the villagers stepped forward first. They filled baskets with bread, dried fruits, and jars of jam, sending them with the witches on their journey to the mountains. "Take this," they said. "It's all we have, but it may help." Even the children gave up small treasures, a toy, a sweet, to bring comfort to others. Touched by this spirit, Adaline wrapped her own warm scarf around a shivering bird and offered her last cookies to a hungry fox. Inspired by her example, the other witches followed, sharing steaming cups of hot cocoa to warm frozen hands, guiding lanterns for travelers lost in the snow, and songs to lift weary hearts. The animals soon joined in as well. Squirrels opening their hidden nut stores, owls leading the way with sharp eyes in the dark, and deer clearing paths through the heavy snow. And little by little, the world around them began to change. For the only way the winter spell could be undone was through kindness. And when kindness is shared, it becomes a magic stronger than any spell, traveling swiftly from heart to heart, melting even the coldest of winters. Guided by this warmth, the witches mounted their brooms and soared into the frosty skies. Their keen senses led them toward the mountains at the edge of the forest, where the air grew sharper and heavy with a strange energy. The witches reached the mountain where the spell had gathered its strength. At its peak stood a crystal of ice, tall as a tower, pulsing with a cold blue light. The air around it froze the breath in their lungs and silenced the forest in a heavy hush. But the witches carried more than food and lanterns. They carried the magic of generosity that had been shared with them. They placed the villagers' baskets at the base of the crystal, set down the children's small gifts, and whispered words of gratitude for every act of kindness that had led them here. As they did, the crystal trembled. When Adaline laid her scarf upon it, the same one she had given to the bird, a soft glow spread across the ice. Then, as if awakened by love itself, the crystal cracked, shattering into 1,000 sparkling snowflakes that drifted gently through the air. The bitter winds stilled, the frost melted from the trees, a soft, peaceful snow began to fall. Not the cruel snow of a curse, but the gentle snowfall of winter's true beauty. The winter spell was broken, not by power alone, but by the magic of sharing and gratitude. And so the winter spell was broken, not with power, but with kindness. For when we share even the smallest gift, gratitude turns it into magic, and that magic warms the whole world.
Thank you for watching this story. May it warm your heart. Sending you all my love until our next adventure.